She stood on the observation deck of the flagship Eternal Twilight, her hands pressed against the cold glass. Outside, another transport ship drifted past, its hull scarred with burn marks. Inside that ship were 3,000 Velcrans, all dead from the Crimson Plague. Their bodies would be burned in the nearest sun like all the others before them. Nari closed her eyes. She had stopped crying weeks ago. There were no tears left. The Velcron Empire had ruled 300 star systems for over 2,000 years. They had conquered worlds, tamed black holes, and built cities that floated in the void of space. They were proud. They were powerful. They were advanced beyond measure, and now they were dying. The Crimson Plague had appeared 6 months ago on a mining colony at the edge of their territory. At first, the doctors thought it was a simple infection. They were wrong. Within days, the entire colony was dead. Within weeks, it had spread to 12 systems. Now half the empire was infected. The plague turned people into empty shells. Their eyes went blank, their minds disappeared, and their bodies continued moving like puppets with cut strings. They didn't attack anyone. They just wandered until they collapsed and died. It was horrible to watch. Nari had lost her younger brother to the plague 3 weeks ago. She had held his hand as the light faded from his eyes. He had smiled at her one last time, then he was gone. Just another empty shell walking in circles until his heart stopped. "Your Highness," a voice said behind her. "We've found something." Nari turned. Captain Hyejin stood in the doorway, her uniform perfect as always. But Nari could see the exhaustion in her eyes. Everyone was tired. Everyone had lost someone. "What is it?" Nari asked. "A human," Hyejin said. "We found an escape pod drifting near the outer rim. There's a human male inside, still alive. Our scanners detected something strange in his body. Some kind of advanced technology." Nari felt a spark of hope for the first time in weeks. "A human? Are you certain?" "Yes, Your Highness. The pod is definitely human design. Old Earth military from the looks of it. Humans." Nari had read about them in the Imperial archives. They came from a death world called Earth, a planet so hostile that 99% of all species that ever lived there had gone extinct. The humans survived by being stubborn, adaptable, and absolutely refusing to die no matter what the universe threw at them. The Galactic Council had quarantined humanity decades ago, declaring them too dangerous to interact with. They fought too much, bred too fast, and had a disturbing tendency to weaponize everything they touched. But they also had something the Velcrons desperately needed right now: experience with surviving the impossible. "Bring him to me," Nari said. "Immediately. Your Highness, the Council won't approve." "I don't care what the Council thinks," Nari snapped. "Bring him to me now." 2 hours later, Nari stood in the medical bay staring at the human through a glass partition. He was smaller than she expected. Humans were short compared to Velcrons, barely reaching her shoulder. This one had dark hair and olive skin, and he was covered in scars. His left arm was bandaged, and there was a strange glowing light coming from his chest. The human's eyes opened. They were dark brown, almost black. He looked at Nari, then at the medical equipment surrounding him, then back at Nari. "Where am I?" he asked in rough galactic common. "Aboard the Velcran flagship Eternal Twilight," Nari said. "You're safe. We found your escape pod 3 hours ago." The human tried to sit up, then winced in pain. "My ship, my crew." "Are they?" "You were alone," Nari said gently. "Your pod was the only thing we found." The human closed his eyes. His jaw clenched. Nari saw the pain there, the loss. She understood it well. "What's your name?" she asked. "Doyun," he said. "Lieutenant Doyun Kang, Earth Defense Force, former member of the research vessel Prometheus." He opened his eyes again. "How long was I drifting?" "Our computers estimate 3 weeks." 3 weeks, Doyun repeated. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I thought I was dead. I thought that was it." "Our scanners detected unusual technology in your body," Nari said. "Something in your chest." "What is it?" Doyun's expression changed. He looked angry now and scared. "That's classified information." "You have no right." "My people are dying," Nari interrupted. Her voice was sharp. "A plague is killing everyone I love. If you have technology that could help, I need to know about it." Doyun stared at her. He studied her face, her eyes, looking for something. Finally, he sighed. "It's called a viral engine," he said quietly. "A bioweapon designed by rogue scientists back on Earth. They implanted it in me and 4 other crew members without our consent. When the ship's captain found out, There was a fight. The ship exploded. I was the only one who made it to an escape pod. What does it do? Nari asked. It turns the host body into a living factory for counter-viral agents, Doyen said. It analyzes any biological threat and produces antibodies, vaccines, or aggressive immune responses. The scientists wanted to create super soldiers who couldn't be killed by biological weapons. Nari felt her hearts beating faster. Velcrans had 2 hearts, one for oxygen-rich blood and one for nutrient distribution. Right now, both were racing. Can it stop a plague? She asked. Maybe, Doyen said. But there's a cost. Activating the viral engine is extremely painful. It rewrites DNA, restructures cells, and pushes the human body beyond its limits. The scientists estimated a 30% survival rate. And even if I survive activation, producing enough counteragents to cure a plague across 300 systems would kill me within days. So you'll die either way, Nari said. Yes. Nari looked at the human. He was small, scarred, and completely alone. His ship was gone. His crew was dead. He had every reason to refuse her request. He owed the Velcrans nothing, but she had to try. Help us, Nari said. Please, I know I'm asking you to die. I know it's not fair. But my people are dying right now, today, and I don't have anyone else to ask. Why should I? Doyen asked. The Galactic Council quarantined humanity. Your people voted to keep us isolated. You called us dangerous warmongers. Why should I sacrifice myself for an empire that despises my species? Nari had no good answer for that. He was right. The Velcrans had treated humanity terribly. Because despite everything we've done, you're still a good person, she said quietly. I can see it in your eyes. You don't want to watch people die any more than I do. Doyen was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I'll do it. On one condition. Name it. You stay with me through the entire process, Doyen said. If I'm going to die saving your people, I don't want to die alone. The viral engine requires a monitoring partner anyway. Someone to track my vitals and make sure the process doesn't spiral out of control. Will you do that? Yes, Nari said without hesitation. Even if it means watching me bleed? Watching me scream? Watching me die slowly over days or weeks? Yes, why? Because you're right, Nari said. You shouldn't have to die alone. And if you're willing to bleed for my people, the least I can do is bleed with you. Doyen smiled. It was a sad smile, but genuine. All right, princess, he said. Let's save your empire. Nari stood in the grand chamber, facing 12 of the most powerful Velcrans in the empire. They sat in elevated chairs arranged in a semicircle, looking down at her with expressions ranging from concern to outright anger. This is madness, Lord Commander Taiho said. He was Nari's cousin, a decorated military officer with commendations from 40 campaigns. His voice echoed through the chamber. You want to bond with a human? A species we've barely studied? A soldier carrying an illegal bioweapon? I want to save our people, Nari said calmly. The viral engine is our best chance. We have our own scientists working on a cure, High Counselor Bora said. She was ancient, over 300 years old, with silver skin that marked her age. Give them time. Time is what we don't have, Nari shot back. 10,000 Velcrans die every day. How many more will we lose while our scientists work on it? The human will die anyway, Taiho said. Why should you risk yourself bonding with him? The viral engine requires a monitoring partner, Nari explained. Someone to maintain synchronization, track biological changes, and provide support during the activation process. Without a partner, the engine could spiral out of control and kill him before it produces anything useful. Then assign a medical technician, Bora said. No, Nari said firmly. I made a promise. I told him he wouldn't die alone. I intend to keep that promise, Your Highness, Taiho said, his voice softer now. I understand you're grieving. We all are. But bonding with the human, sharing his pain, potentially dying with him if something goes wrong, this isn't rational. Nothing about this situation is rational, Nari said. But it's necessary. The council may overrule me if they wish, but I'm asking for your trust. The council members looked at each other. Finally, Bora spoke. You have 3 weeks, she said. If the human hasn't produced results by then, we'll terminate the experiment and return him to his escape pod. Understood, Nari said. One more thing, Taiho added. If he dies and you're bonded to him, you may die as well. The Empire needs you, Nari. Don't throw your life away for a human. Nari met her cousin's eyes. I'm not throwing it away. I'm investing it in hope. She left the chamber before they could argue further. The synchronization process began that evening. Nari sat across from Doyen in a private medical bay. Between them was a device that looked like a silver tree, its branches spreading out in all directions. Hijin stood nearby monitoring the equipment. This is the synchronizer, Hijin explained. It will link your nervous systems, allowing you to share sensory information. When he feels pain, you'll feel it. When his heart rate increases, yours will too. The bond isn't permanent unless you choose to make it so, but for the next 3 weeks you'll be connected. I understand, Nari said. Do you? Doyen asked. He looked uncomfortable. Princess, I appreciate what you're doing, but you don't have to go through with this. Assign someone else. There's no reason for royalty to suffer alongside a random human soldier. There's every reason, Nari said. I asked you to die for my people. The least I can do is experience what that feels like. Doyen shook his head, but he didn't argue further. Hyejin attached neural cables to both of them. Nari felt cold metal against her temples. The synchronizer hummed to life, and suddenly she could feel something else in her mind. It was like a whisper, a presence that wasn't her own. Synchronization at 15%, Hyejin announced. Increasing gradually, the presence grew stronger. Nari could feel Doyun's heartbeat now. Slower than her own, but steady. She could sense his emotions. Fear, determination, and underneath it all a deep sadness. 30%. Images flashed through Nari's mind. She saw things she didn't understand at first. Blue skies, green grass, massive oceans. Earth. She was seeing Doyen's memories of Earth. She saw cities filled with humans, billions of them packed together. She saw wars, bombs falling from the sky, buildings collapsing. She saw hospitals overflowing with sick people, doctors working desperately to save lives. 50%. The emotions hit harder now. Nari felt Doyun's pain, his memories of loss. She saw his family, a mother with a kind smile, a father who taught him to fix machines, a younger sister who laughed at his jokes. All of them were gone now. Dead in a war Nari didn't understand. She also felt his determination. Despite everything he'd lost, Doyen kept going. He survived because that's what humans did. They survived. 70%. Princess, are you all right? Nari realized she was crying. I'm fine. Keep going. Doyen spoke, his voice strained. You're seeing my memories. I'm sorry. Some of them aren't pleasant. They're beautiful, Nari said honestly, and terrible, both at once. She shared her own memories with him. He saw the Velcran Empire at its height. Crystal cities floating among the stars, gardens that bloomed in zero gravity, festivals where millions celebrated together. He also saw the plague. He felt her grief when her brother died. 90%, their minds were almost completely linked now. Nari could feel Doyun's physical pain, the ache in his chest where the viral engine sat dormant, the old injuries that never quite healed right, the constant low-level discomfort of having foreign technology embedded in his body. Synchronization complete, Hyejin announced. You're now fully bonded. Princess, how do you feel? Like I'm two people at once, Nari said. It was the best way she could describe it. She was still herself, but she could feel Doyen's presence constantly now, like a second voice in her mind. It'll take time to adjust, Hyejin said. For now, both of you should rest. Tomorrow we'll begin the activation process. That night, Nari couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Doyen's memories mixed with her own. She saw Earth's blue oceans and Velcra's purple skies. She felt his pain and her own grief tangled together. Through their bond, she felt Doyen was awake too. Can't sleep either, she thought at him. His response came back immediately. Your heartbeats are keeping me awake. Having two hearts is weird. Despite everything, Nari smiled. Your single heart seems lonely to me. Humans make do with what we have. They were quiet for a moment. Then Doyen asked, do you regret this? Bonding with me? No, Nari said. Do you? Ask me again in 3 weeks. Fair enough, another pause. Then Nari asked the question that had been bothering her. Why did you agree to this? Really? You could have said no. We couldn't have forced you. Doyen's answer came slowly. When I was 10 years old, Earth had a plague. Not as bad as yours, but bad enough. Millions died. My mother was a doctor. She worked 18-hour days trying to save people. She'd come home exhausted, crying sometimes, but she always went back the next day. What happened to her? She caught the plague from a patient. Died 3 days later. Doyen's emotional pain washed through the bond. Before she died, she told me something. She said the universe is full of suffering, but that just means we have to help each other. Because if we don't, who will? Nari felt tears on her cheeks again. She sounds like she was an amazing person. She was. And she'd want me to help you even if it costs me everything. I won't let you die alone, Nari promised. Whatever happens, we face it together. Together, Doyen agreed. Through their bond, Nari felt his fear. But she also felt his determination. He was terrified, but he was going to do this anyway. That was humanity in a nutshell, she realized. Scared, mortal, fragile, but absolutely unwilling to give up. Get some rest, Princess, Doyen thought at her. Tomorrow is going to be hard. For both of us, Nari replied. She finally fell asleep, and for the first time since her brother died, she didn't have nightmares. Instead, she dreamed of blue skies and 2 heartbeats becoming one rhythm. The activation chamber was white and sterile. Medical equipment lined the walls, and a dozen Velcran doctors stood ready. Doyen lay on a medical bed in the center of the room, cables attached to his chest and head. Nari sat beside him, holding his hand. Synchronization stable at 98%, Heejin announced. All systems ready. Begin activation on your command, Your Highness. Nari looked at Doyen. Through their bond, she felt his fear, but she also felt his resolve. I'm ready, he said out loud. Then let's begin, Nari said. Heejin pressed a button. The viral engine in Doyen's chest began to glow brighter. At first, nothing happened. Then Doyen gasped. The pain hit them both like a hammer. Nari's back arched as agony shot through her nervous system. Through the bond, she felt what Doyen felt. The viral engine was tearing open inside his chest, releasing billions of nanoparticles into his bloodstream. Each particle was rewriting his DNA cell by cell. Doyen screamed. Nari screamed with him. Heart rate spiking, one of the doctors shouted. Both subjects showing extreme distress. Hold them steady, Heejin ordered. This is normal. The engine needs to integrate with his immune system. Normal. There was nothing normal about this pain. Nari felt like her blood was on fire. Every nerve in her body was sending distress signals. Through their bond, she felt Doyen's agony multiplied 100 times over, but she didn't let go of his hand. I'm here, she gasped. I'm here with you, Doyen couldn't speak. His body was convulsing, muscles spasming as the viral engine rewrote his biology. His temperature was rising rapidly. 105 degrees, 108, 112. He's cooking from the inside, a doctor said. His brain will shut down at this temperature. No, Heejin said. Humans can survive higher temperatures than we can. Trust the process. Nari didn't know if she could trust anything anymore. The pain was overwhelming. She could barely think. But she held on to one thought: Doyen needed her. She had promised not to let him suffer alone. Princess, Doyen managed to whisper through clenched teeth. You should disconnect. This is too much. No, Nari said. Her voice was hoarse from screaming. We're in this together. Remember? Through the pain, she felt something from Doyen. Gratitude, and something else. Respect. The viral engine began its analysis. Through their shared senses, Nari experienced something incredible. She could feel Doyen's immune system awakening, becoming something more than human. The nanoparticles were teaching his body to recognize and counter any biological threat. They were turning him into a living weapon against disease. But it was killing him in the process. Activation at 40%, Heejin announced. He's producing antibodies. Wait, this is strange. What? Nari managed to ask. The engine is analyzing the Crimson Plague based on your blood samples, and it's found something. The plague isn't natural. It's engineered. Velcran bioweapon technology from over 1,000 years ago. That's impossible, one of the doctors said. We destroyed all bioweapon research after the genetic wars. Apparently not, Heejin said grimly. The engine's analysis is clear. Someone deliberately created this plague using ancient Velcran science. The implications crashed through Nari's pain-clouded mind. The Crimson Plague wasn't an accident. Someone in the Empire had unleashed it on purpose. Someone wanted the Velcrans dead. Before she could process this information, alarms blared. Security breach, Heejin shouted. Armed intruders in the medical bay. The doors exploded inward. Soldiers in black armor poured into the room. They weren't wearing Velcran military insignia. Nari recognized them immediately. Teho's personal guard. "Kill the human," the lead soldier commanded. "The princess is to be taken alive." "No." Nari tried to stand, but she was still connected to Doyun through the synchronizer. The pain from the activation process had weakened her. She couldn't defend herself. Hyejin drew her weapon and opened fire. 2 attackers went down. The rest returned fire. Hyejin dove for cover, continuing to shoot. The lead soldier raised his weapon, aiming at Doyun's chest. Through their bond, Nari felt Doyun's helplessness. He was strapped to the medical bed, his body too racked with pain to move. He was going to die, and there was nothing either of them could do about it. Then something happened. The viral engine reached 73% activation, and it responded to the threat. Doyun's eyes snapped open. They were glowing silver. His body stopped convulsing. The pain didn't disappear. Nari could still feel it through their bond, but Doyun was somehow moving through it. "Bad idea," he whispered. He raised his hand. His palm split open, revealing restructured tissue underneath. A cloud of silver particles burst from his hand, spreading through the air. The attacking soldiers breathed in the particles. They immediately began coughing. Within seconds, they were on their knees. Their weapons clattered to the floor. "What did you do?" one of them gasped. "Aggressive immune response," Doyun said. His voice was strange, layered with harmonics. The viral engine was changing him. "Your bodies are fighting a war against every disease you've ever been exposed to, all at once. You'll survive, but you won't be moving for a while. More than that, though." Through their bond, Nari realized what Doyun had actually done. The particles he'd released weren't just attacking the soldiers. They were also delivering antibodies for the Crimson Plague. Every soldier who breathed them in was now immune to the disease. He'd turned a weapon into a cure. "Clever," Hyejin said, lowering her weapon. She looked at Doyun with new respect. "Are you all right?" "Define all right," Doyun said. He slumped back onto the bed. "Activation is still ongoing. I need to complete the process." "Rest," Nari said. She was still holding his hand. "I've got you." The activation continued for 6 more hours. The pain eventually lessened to a dull agony. By the time it finished, both Nari and Doyun were exhausted beyond measure. But it worked. "Activation complete at 96%, Hyejin announced. "The viral engine is fully integrated, and Lieutenant Doyun is producing counter-agents for the Crimson Plague at an incredible rate. 1 liter of his blood contains enough antibodies to cure 1,000 Velcrans. How long until I can produce enough for the entire empire?" Doyun asked. "At this rate, 3 days for the core systems, maybe 2 weeks for the outer territories." "Then let's begin," Doyun said. But Nari saw something through their bond. The viral engine was consuming Doyun's body to produce the cure. His cells were breaking down, being converted into raw materials for antibody production. He'd told her the truth from the beginning. This process would kill him. She had 3 days. Maybe less. 3 days to save the Empire and watch the human she was bonded to die. "Your Highness," Hyejin said quietly, "Lord Commander Taiho has requested an audience. He says it's urgent." Nari's eyes hardened. Taiho had sent assassins to kill Doyun. That meant her cousin was involved in whatever conspiracy had created the Crimson Plague. "Tell him I'll see him soon," Nari said, "after I've had time to think about how to deal with traitors." Through the bond, she felt Doyun's grim satisfaction. He was thinking the same thing she was. If someone had deliberately unleashed the plague, they needed to be stopped, and Nari intended to stop them, no matter what it cost. Taiho came to her private quarters that evening. He was alone, which surprised Nari. She had expected him to bring guards. "Cousin," he said, bowing slightly. "May I enter?" Nari sat at her desk, studying a datapad that showed the viral engine's progress. Through her bond with Doyun, she could feel him resting in the medical bay. He was weak but stable. "You may," she said coldly. "Please explain why you sent assassins to kill the human who's saving our people." Taiho didn't deny it. "Because he's discovered the truth, and the truth is dangerous. That the Crimson Plague was deliberately created? That someone in our own empire is killing us?" "Yes," Nari stood, her anger barely contained. "How long have you known?" 6 months, Taiho said. "Since the plague first appeared. And you said nothing? While thousands died? Because I needed to understand who created it and why," Taiho said. "And now I know. It's a group calling themselves the Purists. High-ranking nobles and military officers who believe the Empire has become weak. They want to purge what they call inferior bloodlines and rebuild a stronger Velcron civilization. That's insane, Nari breathed. Perhaps, but they're powerful and well-organized. They have members throughout the government, including on the High Council. Taiho met her eyes. I'm one of them. The admission hung in the air. Nari felt her hands clench into fists. You helped create the plague? No, I didn't know what they were planning until it was too late. But yes, I'm a purist. I believe the Empire needs renewal. Taiho stepped closer. Think about it, Nari. We've grown complacent. We haven't faced a real challenge in centuries. We're stagnant, dying slowly even without the plague. The purists believe that sometimes to save a civilization, you must be willing to burn away the dead wood. By killing millions of innocent people? I never agreed with their methods, Taiho said. But I understand their goals. And now your human has ruined everything. He's producing a cure that will save everyone, including the weak bloodlines the purists wanted to eliminate. They won't allow that. Are you here to threaten me? Nari asked. I'm here to warn you, Taiho said. The purists are planning to destroy this ship. They have a fleet ready to strike. You have perhaps 12 hours before they attack. Take the human, flee, and I'll try to delay them. Why would you help me? Because you're my cousin. Because despite everything, I love you. And because, Taiho hesitated, because watching the plague kill people has made me question everything I believed. Maybe the purists are wrong. Maybe weakness isn't something to be purged. Maybe it's something that makes us Velcron. Nari wanted to believe him, but trust was difficult now. I need time to think, she said. You don't have time, Taiho said. Flee or fight. Those are your only options. He left without waiting for a response. Nari immediately went to the medical bay. Doyen was awake, sitting up in bed. Through their bond, he'd felt her distress during the conversation with Taiho. You heard all that? She asked. Through our link, yes. Your cousin is right. We need to make a choice. I won't flee, Nari said firmly. If the purists want to fight, I'll fight. But I can't do it alone. You're not alone, Hyejin said, stepping into the room. I've been listening to communication intercepts. A fleet is indeed gathering at the edge of this system. At least 40 ships, all loyal to the purists. They'll be here within hours. Then we prepare for battle, Nari said. There's another problem, Doyen said quietly. The viral engine is breaking down my body faster than expected. I have maybe 2 days before my organs fail completely. I can produce enough cure for the core systems in that time, but not for the entire Empire. There has to be another way, Nari said. There is, Doyen said. But you won't like it, he explained his idea. The viral engine didn't need to produce cure for billions of people individually. Instead, Doyen could become the cure himself. If he released the engine's full power, he could create a biofield that would spread across the Empire through quantum-entangled biological markers. Every Velcron would be cured simultaneously, but the energy required would kill me instantly, Doyen finished. And because of our bond, it might kill you too. No, Nari said immediately. We'll find another way. There is no other way. You know that. Nari did know. Through their bond, she could feel the viral engine eating away at Doyen's body. Every hour, he grew weaker. Soon he wouldn't be able to produce anything at all. There might be a solution, Hyejin said hesitantly. It's forbidden, but it exists. Soul threading. What's that? Doyen asked. An ancient Velcron technique, Hyejin explained. 2 people permanently bind their life forces together. They share everything, pain, strength, vitality. If one dies, the other dies. But if both survive, they become stronger than they were separately. That sounds like our bond, just permanent, Nari said. It's much more than that. With soul threading, you could share your Velcron vitality with Doyen. You have 2 hearts, a more efficient respiratory system, and redundant organs. If you thread your souls together, he could draw on your biological advantages to survive the viral engine's full release. And if we do this? Doyen asked. You'll be connected forever. You'll never be able to separate. And if the engine still kills him despite your support, you'll both die. Nari didn't hesitate. We'll do it. Princess, this isn't a decision to make lightly, Hyejin protested. Soul threading has been forbidden for over 1,000 years. The High Council outlawed it because it creates a dependency that can be exploited. If Doyen is ever captured or hurt, his enemies can use him to hurt you. I don't care, Nari said. If we don't stop the purists, none of this matters. We need to cure the plague and defend this ship. Soul threading gives us the best chance. Doyen was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Are you sure? You're talking about binding yourself to a human forever. Your people won't accept that." "Then they'll have to adapt," Nari said, "just like you're adapting to save them. Will you do this with me, Doyen?" He looked at her. Through their bond, she felt his emotions, fear, determination, and something deeper. Something that might have been love if they'd had more time to understand it. "Yes," he said. "Let's thread our souls." The process took 3 hours. It required ancient equipment that Hyejin had to search the ship's archives to find. The soul-threading device looked like 2 circles of silver, connected by glowing threads. Nari and Doyun sat facing each other. The silver circles were placed around their necks. The glowing threads began to pulse. "This will hurt," Hyejin warned, "more than anything you felt before." She was right. The pain of soul threading made the viral engine's activation feel like a minor discomfort. Nari felt her life force being pulled out of her body and woven together with Doyun's. Every memory, every emotion, every physical sensation was being shared and merged. She saw his entire life in perfect clarity. A childhood on Earth, playing in parks with his sister, joining the military to protect people, losing his family to war, the desperate hope that the Prometheus mission would lead to something better. The horror when the viral engine was forced into his body, and now this, binding himself to an alien princess to save a civilization that had rejected his species. Doyun saw her life too. Growing up in the royal palace, the weight of duty crushing her spirit, watching her brother die, the desperate fear that everything she loved would disappear. And now this, binding herself to a human soldier because it was the right thing to do. Their souls merged. The silver threads tightened, and suddenly, they weren't 2 people anymore. They were 1 consciousness in 2 bodies. Nari could feel Doyen's heart beating alongside her 2 hearts. She could feel his lungs breathing in rhythm with hers. Every cell in his body was connected to every cell in hers. "It's done," Hyejin said softly. "You're threaded." Nari opened her eyes. She looked at Doyen, and he looked back at her. They didn't need to speak. Through the soul thread, they understood each other perfectly. "Together," Nari thought. "Forever," Doyen replied. And then the alarms started blaring. The purest fleet had arrived. The battle for the eternal twilight was about to begin. The command deck was chaos. Officers shouted orders while holographic displays showed 40 enemy ships surrounding the eternal twilight. Captain Hyejin stood at the center coordinating their defenses. "Shields at maximum," she barked. "All weapons armed. Prepare for..." The first shot hit their shields. The entire ship shuddered. Nari grabbed a railing to stay upright. Beside her, Doyen stood steady. Through their soul thread, she drew on his balance, his soldier's training. "They're not trying to destroy us yet," Hyejin observed. "They're weakening our shields first. They want to board us. They want me," Doyen said. "If they kill me before the cure is distributed, the plague continues. How long until you can produce enough cure for the core systems?" Nari asked. 6 hours. "But I need to be in the medical bay connected to the distribution equipment." "Then we hold them for 6 hours, Hyejin said. "Easy." It wasn't easy. The purest fleet hammered them relentlessly. Energy weapons scorched their hull. Missiles exploded against their shields. The eternal twilight had powerful defenses, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. "Shields at 60%, an officer reported. "They're targeting our port side." "Return fire," Hyejin ordered. "Target their command ship." The eternal twilight's weapons fired back. Several enemy ships took damage, but more moved in to replace them. It was like fighting an ocean wave. No matter how many ships they damaged, more appeared. Through the soul thread, Nari felt Doyen's tactical mind working. He'd been a soldier. He understood warfare in a way she didn't. "They're going to breach," he told Hyejin. "Look at their formation. They're concentrating fire on 3 specific points. They'll punch through and send boarding parties." "We have security teams ready," Hyejin said. "That won't be enough. The purists will send elite forces, soldiers willing to die to complete their mission. What do you suggest?" Doyen looked at Nari. Through their connection, she understood what he was thinking. It was risky, possibly suicidal, but it might work. "We use the viral engine offensively," Nari said. "Not to cure, but to disable. We release counter-viral particles through the air circulation system. When the boarding parties come, they'll be hit with aggressive immune responses." "The same thing you did to the assassins earlier," Hyejin said. "Exactly. Except this time we'll also include antibodies for the Crimson Plague. Every soldier who boards this ship will be cured of the plague automatically, and then they'll have to ask themselves, why are they fighting for people who created the disease in the first place? It was a psychological attack as much as a physical one. Make the enemy soldiers question their orders. Hyejin smiled grimly. I like it, but can you produce enough particles to cover the entire ship? Not alone, Doyen said. But with the soul thread, Nari can share her vitality with me. We can do it together. It'll hurt. Nari warned him through their connection. Everything hurts now. What's a little more pain between souls? They went to the medical bay. Doyen connected to the viral engine control system while Nari stood beside him, holding his hand. Through the soul thread, she felt her life force flowing into him, supporting him as he pushed the engine beyond its normal limits. The pain was incredible. It felt like her blood was boiling. Her organs were being squeezed, her bones were cracking. But she held on. She'd promised to bleed with him. This was what that meant. The viral engine responded. Silver particles began pumping through the ship's air circulation system. Within minutes, the entire eternal twilight was saturated with them. Just in time. Hull breach, an officer announced. Multiple boarding parties coming through. Decks 7, 9, and 14. Hyejin activated her communicator. All security teams engage. But be careful. The enemy soldiers might not be our enemies for long. She was right. The first wave of purist soldiers stormed aboard, weapons ready. They breathed in the silver particles. Within seconds, they were coughing, their bodies responding to the aggressive immune treatment. But more than that, they felt the Crimson Plague antibodies entering their systems. Many of them had family members dying from the plague. They recognized what was happening. Some kept fighting. Others hesitated. A few actually lowered their weapons. What is this? One soldier shouted into his communicator. They're curing us. The princess is curing us while we attack her. Through the ship's internal cameras, Nari watched the confusion spread. The purist commanders tried to maintain order, but it was difficult to convince soldiers to fight people who were actively saving their lives. It's working, Hyejin said with satisfaction. Half the boarding parties have surrendered. The others are retreating. But Nari felt something else through the soul thread. Doyen was weakening rapidly. Producing enough particles to cover the ship was draining him faster than expected. His organs were shutting down one by one. I need to stop, he gasped. I can't maintain this. Hold on, Nari said. She poured more of her own vitality through the soul thread. But she was reaching her limits too. Just a little longer. Then the real attack began. Lord Commander Taiho's face appeared on the main view screen. He looked tired and sad. Cousin, he said, I tried to warn you. I tried to give you a chance to escape, but you chose to fight. Now I have no choice. You always have a choice, Nari said. Not anymore. The purists have activated their final weapon, a viral bomb that will destroy this entire system. Everyone here will die, along with all evidence of what we've done. I'm sorry, Nari, I truly am. The transmission ended. Viral bomb? Hyejin said. What is he talking about? Alarms screamed. The sensors detected something launching from the purist command ship. It was moving fast, heading straight for the eternal twilight. Analyzing, an officer said. It's massive. A biological weapon combined with antimatter. If it detonates, it'll sterilize everything within 10 light minutes. Can we destroy it? Nari asked. Not enough time. It'll be here in 3 minutes. Through the soul thread, Nari felt Doyen's mind racing. He was analyzing the problem, running through solutions. And then he found one. But when she felt what it would cost, her hearts nearly stopped. No, she said out loud. Absolutely not. It's the only way, Doyen said calmly. What are you two talking about? Hyejin demanded. The viral engine can counter biological weapons, Doyen explained. If I release its full power, I can create a biofield strong enough to neutralize the viral bomb. The antimatter will still explode, but the biological payload will be destroyed. The system will survive, and you'll die, Nari said. We'll die, Doyen corrected gently. Remember? Soul thread, if I die, you die. Then we find another solution. There is no other solution. You know that, he was right. Through their connection, Nari could see his reasoning clearly. The math was simple. Sacrifice 2 people to save billions, I won't let you, she said. You don't have a choice. I'm activating the engine now. Before she could stop him, Doyen triggered the full release. The viral engine in his chest exploded with light. Silver particles erupted from his body, forming a glowing sphere around him. The sphere expanded rapidly, growing larger and larger. Through the soul thread, Nari felt everything. She felt the engine tearing Doyen apart from the inside, converting his body into pure energy. She felt her own life force being pulled in, supporting him, keeping him alive just long enough to complete the process. The pain was beyond description, but through it all she felt something else. Love. Absolute unconditional love flowing from Doyen's consciousness to hers. Thank you, he thought at her, for not letting me die alone, for bleeding with me, for being willing to transform with me. I love you, Nari thought back. I should have said it earlier. I love you, Doyen, I know. I love you too. The biofield reached its maximum extent, encompassing the entire eternal twilight and expanding out into space. The viral bomb hit the field and disintegrated. Its biological payload neutralized completely. The antimatter exploded, but the blast was contained by the biofield structure. The ship survived. The system survived, but Doyen and Nari collapsed. The last thing Nari saw was Hyejin's face, horrified and grieving. The last thing she felt was Doyen's presence in her mind, fading like a sunset. And then there was nothing. She was lying in the medical bay, surrounded by monitoring equipment. Everything hurt, but she was alive. Through the soul thread, she could still feel Doyen's presence, which meant he was alive too. You're awake, Hyejin said. She looked exhausted. You've been unconscious for 2 days. Doyen, Nari whispered. Alive. Barely. He's in the bed next to you. Nari turned her head. Doyen was there, covered in monitoring cables. But something was wrong. His skin had a strange silver sheen to it. Parts of his body looked almost crystallized, like living metal. What happened to him? Nari asked. To both of you, Hyejin corrected. She held up a mirror. Nari looked at her reflection and gasped. Her skin had the same crystalline quality as Doyen's. Parts of her arms and face looked like they were made of silver and purple crystal. She looked alien even to herself. The viral engine's full release triggered a transformation, Hyejin explained. Your bodies are changing at the cellular level. You're becoming something new. Something that's neither fully human nor fully Velcron. Are we dying? We don't know. The transformation stopped at about 67%. You're stable but different. The medical team has never seen anything like this. Through the soul thread, Nari felt Doyen waking up. His consciousness touched hers. We're alive, he thought, wonder in his mental voice. How are we alive? The soul thread saved us, Nari realized. When the viral engine tried to consume you, it consumed me too. But my Velcron biology provided additional resources. Between the two of us, there was just enough life force to survive. At the cost of becoming whatever we are now. They sat up slowly, helping each other. Moving felt strange. Their bodies didn't respond quite the same way as before. The crystalline parts seemed to have different properties than flesh. How does it feel? Hyejin asked. Like being a statue that can still move, Doyen said. It's not painful, just weird. The good news, Hyejin said, is that the viral bomb was neutralized. The bad news is that the purist fleet is still out there and they know you're alive. Then we need to finish this, Nari said. She stood, wobbling slightly. Doyen stood with her, and together they were steady. The viral engine produced enough cure before the full release. We can start distributing it immediately. Already done, Hyejin said with a smile. We've been distributing cure to every ship station and colony in range for the past 2 days. So far, 17 billion Velcrons have been cured. The Crimson Plague is in full retreat. Nari felt relief wash through her. It worked. We actually did it. You did it, Hyejin corrected. You and Doyen. You saved the Empire. Through the soul thread, Nari felt Doyen's emotions. He was thinking about his mother, the doctor who died trying to save people during Earth's plague. He wished she could see this. He wished she could know that her son had followed her example. She knows. Nari thought at him gently. Wherever she is, she knows. A communication alert sounded. Hyejin activated it, and Taiho's face appeared. He looked defeated. Princess, I need to speak with you. Why should I listen to anything you say? Nari demanded. Because the purist fleet is preparing for a final assault. But I've convinced them to allow negotiations first. Meet with our leaders. Explain what you've accomplished. Maybe we can avoid more bloodshed. This is a trap, Hyejin said immediately. Of course it's a trap, Taiho agreed. But it's also an opportunity. Show them what you've become. Show them that change isn't weakness. Maybe you can convince them to surrender. Nari looked at Doyen. Through their connection, they discussed it silently in the space of seconds. We'll meet, Nari said, but on neutral ground. And we bring our own security. Agreed, Tejo said. There's an abandoned station at the edge of this system. We'll meet there in 6 hours. The transmission ended. This is insane, Hyejin said. They tried to kill you twice already. I know, Nari said. But this has to end. One way or another. 6 hours later, they stood aboard the abandoned station. It was ancient, built during the early days of the Empire. The walls were crumbling and the air recyclers barely worked. Taiho arrived with 5 other purist leaders. They looked at Nari and Doyen with expressions ranging from disgust to fear. What have you become? One of them asked. Her name was Advisor Sumi, and she'd been on the High Council for decades. A bridge, Nari said simply. Between human and Velcran. Between weakness and strength. Between isolation and cooperation. You've contaminated yourself with alien genetics, Sumi spat. You're not Velcran anymore. I'm more Velcran than you are, Nari said. I did what was necessary to save our people. What have you done? Created a plague that killed billions? Tried to murder those who opposed you? That's not strength. That's cowardice. We were trying to save the Empire, another purist leader said. His name was General Minsu. By purging the weak bloodlines, we would have created a stronger civilization. You would have created nothing, Doyen said. His voice was calm but hard. Because strength doesn't come from purity. It comes from diversity. From adaptation. From being willing to change. What would a human know about strength? Minsu sneered. Doyen smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Humans survived on a death world where 99% of all species went extinct. We survived ice ages, plagues, asteroid impacts, and our own stupidity. We did it by adapting, by learning, by accepting help from others when we needed it. That's real strength. The Empire is 2,000 years old, Sumi said. We don't need lessons from a species that barely has space travel. Your Empire is 2,000 years old and stagnant, Nari said. In the past 500 years, what have you accomplished? What have you created? Nothing. You've been coasting on ancient achievements. That's not strength. That's decay. She stepped forward. The purist leaders flinched. Her crystalline body caught the dim light, making her look otherworldly. I was like you once, Nari continued. I thought the Empire was perfect. I thought we didn't need anyone else. But the Crimson Plague taught me something. We're not invincible. We're not perfect. And when we needed help, a human soldier was willing to die to save us. Not because we deserved it, not because we'd been kind to his species, but because it was the right thing to do. Sentiment, Sumi dismissed. Weakness, is it? Doyen asked. Then why am I still alive? Why is Nari still alive? We should have died when the viral engine released its full power. But we survived because we were connected, because we were strong enough to share our burdens. Through the soul thread, Nari felt what Doyen was planning. He was going to demonstrate. Doyen raised his hand. The crystalline parts of his body began to glow. Silver particles emerged from his palm, but not aggressively like before. Gently, like a mist. This is what the viral engine became after the transformation, he explained. A tool for healing, not just curing disease. Watch. General Minsu had a scar on his face from an old battle wound. The silver particles touched it. Within seconds, the scar began to fade. Minsu's eyes widened in shock. The cure we distributed isn't just for the Crimson Plague, Nari explained. It's made every Velcran who received it stronger, more adaptable, better able to heal. You've all received it, even you, purist. You're already changing, becoming a little more like humans, and it's making you better. The purist leaders looked at each other. Nari could see doubt in their eyes. This is abomination, Sumi said, but her voice lacked conviction. This is evolution, Nari countered, and you can either accept it or die fighting against it. The choice is yours. Tejo had been quiet until now. Finally, he spoke. I've been thinking about what you said, cousin. About weakness and strength. I watched you and the human nearly die to save us. I watched you transform into something new rather than give up. That's more courage than I've ever shown. Tejo, you can't be serious, Sumi said. I am. The purists were wrong. I was wrong. We thought purity would save us, but it was destroying us. Change saved us. Adaptation saved us. And yes, a human soldier saved us. Taiho looked at Doyen. I owe you an apology, Lieutenant, and a debt I can never repay. You can repay it by helping rebuild, Doyen said. Help create an empire that's open to change, that's willing to accept help from others. What about justice? Hyejin asked. She'd been standing guard by the door. The purists created the plague. Millions died. That requires punishment. Yes, Nari agreed. There must be justice, but not revenge. The purist leaders will face trial. Their assets will be used to compensate victims, and those who cooperate will receive mercy. She looked at each purist leader in turn. Surrender now. Help us rebuild, or continue fighting and lose everything. Choose. The silence stretched. Finally, General Minsu spoke. I surrender. The Empire needs to survive, even if it means admitting I was wrong. One by one, the other purist leaders agreed. Even Sumi, though she looked like the words tasted bitter. The fleet will stand down, Taiho said. The war is over. Nari felt relief and exhaustion in equal measure. Through the soul thread, Doyon shared both feelings. We did it, he thought. We did, Nari agreed. They left the station together, holding hands. Their crystalline bodies glinted in the starlight. Behind them, the purist leaders followed, defeated but alive. The war was over. The plague was cured, but Nari knew this was just the beginning. The real work, building a new future, was just starting. And she and Doyen would face it together, forever connected, forever changed, forever stronger than they'd been alone. The Velcron Empire was transformed in ways both visible and invisible. The Crimson Plague was gone, eliminated completely from all 300 systems, but its legacy remained. Over 4 billion Velcrans had died before the cure was distributed. Every family had lost someone. The purist leaders faced trial. Most were convicted and sentenced to work camps, where they would spend decades helping rebuild what they'd destroyed. Taiho received a lighter sentence after testifying against the others. He was stripped of his rank and title, but allowed to serve the Empire in a reduced capacity. The High Council was restructured. New members were appointed, chosen for their willingness to embrace change rather than cling to tradition. Advisor Sumi was removed from power. General Minsu accepted responsibility for his actions and resigned. And Nari stood in the Imperial Gardens with Doyen, looking out over the capital city of Velcra Prime. They were still partially crystallized. The transformation had stabilized at 67%, leaving them as living hybrids of flesh and crystal. They could move and feel and live, but they were forever marked by what they'd done. Everyone who saw them was reminded of the sacrifice that saved the Empire. How does it feel? Doyen asked. He was leaning against a tree, watching shuttles fly between the city's towers. Being a living symbol? Uncomfortable, Nari admitted, but necessary. People need to see that change isn't something to fear. Through the soul thread, they shared every thought and sensation. It had become natural now, as easy as breathing. They couldn't imagine being separate anymore. Captain Hyejin approached, now promoted to High Admiral. She'd been given command of the entire Velcron military, with orders to modernize it and prepare for cooperation with other species. Your Highness, she said, bowing slightly. The Galactic Council has sent a message. They're inviting humanity to join the Council, with full membership rights. Earth's government is considering the offer. That's good news, Nari said. There's more. The Council wants to establish formal relations between humans and Velcrons. They're proposing a joint research initiative, combining our biotech expertise with human adaptability. They want to create medical technology that can help all species. Using the viral engine as a foundation, Doyen guessed. Exactly. But they need your permission, both of you. The technology is integrated into your bodies. You're the only source. Nari and Doyen looked at each other. Through the soul thread, they discussed it silently. We'll agree, Nari said. On one condition. The research must be open to all species. No one civilization can control it. The Council will agree to that, Hyejin said. She hesitated. There's one more thing. Volunteers have stepped forward. Humans and Velcrans who want to attempt the bonding process. They want to create more bridges between our species. How many? Doyen asked. 37 pairs so far. More requesting every day. Nari felt a mix of emotions. Pride that others were willing to make the sacrifice. Fear that they might die in the attempt. Hope that it would work. We should meet them, she said. Share what we learned. Give them the best chance to succeed. Hyejin nodded and left to make arrangements. Doyen turned to Nari. Do you regret it? Any of it? Never, Nari said without hesitation. Do you? Sometimes I miss being fully human, Doyen admitted. But no, I don't regret it. We saved billions of lives. That's worth any price. Through the soul thread, Nari felt his sincerity, but she also felt the sadness underneath. Doyen would never see Earth again. His transformation made him too unique, too valuable to risk on interstellar travel. He was essentially trapped in Velcron space. We could ask, Nari suggested gently. If you want to go home, see Earth one more time. Earth isn't my home anymore, Doyen said. You are? The soul thread means wherever you are, that's home. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the city. New construction was everywhere. Buildings that had been damaged by plague-induced riots were being rebuilt. Hospitals were being expanded. Schools were reopening. Life was returning to normal. A new normal, but still normal. A shuttle landed nearby. A young human woman stepped out, followed by a Velcran man. They both looked nervous. Princess Nari? The woman asked. She had short black hair and bright eyes. I'm Jiwoo Park. This is my partner, Minho. We're here for the bonding consultation. Nari recognized them from the files Hyejin had provided. Jiwoo was a medical researcher from Earth. Minho was a Velcron scientist who'd been working on plague cures before Doyen arrived. They'd met during the medical relief efforts and fallen in love. Welcome, Nari said warmly. Please sit. They sat on a bench while Nari and Doyen stood before them. We wanted to ask you about the bonding process, Jiwoo said. What it's really like. The medical reports are detailed, but they don't capture the experience. It's painful, Doyen said bluntly. More painful than anything you've ever experienced. Your bodies will be torn apart and restructured. You'll share every sensation, every memory, every emotion. There's no privacy, no separation. If you have secrets from each other, they'll be revealed. We don't have secrets, Minho said, taking Jiwoo's hand. You think you don't, Nari said gently. But everyone has hidden parts of themselves. Things they don't even admit to themselves. The soul thread reveals everything. It also connects everything, Doyen added. After bonding, you'll never be truly alone again. You'll always feel each other's presence. It's beautiful, but it's also overwhelming sometimes. Can you separate it all? Jiwoo asked. Physically, I mean? We can be in different rooms or even different buildings, Nari explained. But we feel each other constantly through the thread. Distance doesn't matter. If Doyen is hurt, I feel it. If I'm happy, he feels it. There's no escape. Why would we want to escape? Minho asked softly, looking at Jiwoo. Through the soul thread, Nari felt Doyen's affection for the young couple. They reminded him of himself and Nari before everything became complicated. The transformation is permanent, Doyen said. Look at us. We're part crystal now. We'll never be fully human or fully Velcran again. You need to understand that before you commit. This isn't like marriage, where you can separate if it doesn't work out. This is forever. Forever is what we want, Jiwoo said firmly. Then we'll help you, Nari said. We'll share everything we learned. We'll give you the best chance to survive. They spent hours talking with Jiwoo and Minho, explaining every detail of the process. By the time the consultation ended, the young couple looked scared but determined. Thank you, Jiwoo said as they prepared to leave. You've given us hope. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone. Humans and Velcrans working together. Different species becoming one. That's beautiful. After they left, Nari and Doyen returned to their quarters. They were exhausted. Talking about the bonding process always brought back memories of the pain. Do you think they'll survive? Doyen asked. I don't know, Nari said. The medical teams have improved the process based on our data. Their chances are better than ours were, but there are no guarantees. Just like everything else in life. They lay down together, their crystalline bodies reflecting the soft lights of the city outside their window. Through the soul thread, they shared warmth and comfort. I've been thinking, Nari said, about the future, about what comes next. And the Empire needs a new direction, new leadership that understands cooperation and adaptation. The High Council is asking me to take a more active role in government. Will you? Only if you're with me. I can't do it alone. You're never alone, Doyen reminded her. That's the whole point of the soul thread. I know, but I mean publicly. I want you to be recognized as my partner in this. Not just the human who saved us, but an equal voice in shaping our future. Doyen was quiet for a moment. The council won't like that. A human having political power in the Empire. They'll have to adapt, Nari said with a smile. Just like everyone else. Through the soul thread, she felt Doyen's agreement and his love. Together, he thought. Forever, she replied. The next morning, Nari stood before the High Council and made her announcement. The Empire would establish a new position, Cultural Bridge Coordinator. Doyen would fill that role, serving as a liaison between humanity and the Velcran civilization. There were objections, of course. Some council members still distrusted humans, but they couldn't deny what Doyen had accomplished. He'd saved them all. He'd earned his place. The vote passed. In the weeks that followed, more human Velcran pairs went through the bonding process. Jiwoo and Minho succeeded, emerging as crystalline hybrids like Nari and Doyen. Others weren't so lucky. 3 pairs died during the transformation, their bodies unable to handle the strain. But slowly, carefully, a new generation was being born. People who were neither fully human nor fully Velcran, but something new. Something stronger. The Galactic Council watched with interest. Other species began asking questions about the process. Some wanted to try it themselves, bonding with humans or Velcrans to gain new abilities. The universe was changing. Walls between species were coming down. And it all started with a desperate princess asking a question. Will you bleed with me?